Recording. Let's get some music. Welcome to the Big Fat Gay Podcast live at BiggerVegas. Where we all get to talk about what's weighing on our minds. I am Michael. I'm a chubby chaser. I'm officially a card-carrying chubby chaser as of Tuesday.
Got his event badge.
And I'm a hard-working work boy.
Yeah.
That's who I am today.
Hey there, my name is Don. I'm a big chubby guy that lives in sunny Hollywood, and today I am dry for the first time in a couple days. So I'm going to fix that very shortly.
Elaborate on dry. For me.
There are pools. There are pools everywhere. Why do you have to make it filthy?
And you keep stepping in them? Hi, I'm Dan Oliverio, author, public speaker, and also card-carrying chubby chaser.
It's important. You have to show people. You have to prove it.
Standards.
Yeah.
Got to get certified to get your card. And today I got to run to the bathroom, boy, which I did.
Yeah. We're okay now. True to podcast form. As soon as we're ready to go.
It's like, we're all ready. Okay, let me leave.
Just wait for the bit. Watch him run right when the bit starts.
Usually that's like, okay.
I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub, and I'm a clipped wing scooter boy. They have capped my speed.
They capped it.
Per regulations for the venue, I cannot go as fast as I want. It is. I can go fast, it's fine, but I just feel limited at times.
He is limited to normal person walking speed. It's atrocious.
Now, that wasn't the case last BiggerVegas when you were zooming around.
Yes.
So are we sure that
Hence
wasn't
the new policy?
Yes.
I was
now
told
we know where they got it.
I was told by someone that apparently it is the fault of the BBWs from the bashes.
Whoa.
Because they are reckless drivers. That was someone told me that, and that is apparently the reason for the policy.
That sounds awfully chauvinistic.
Yes.
I don't know.
And yet somehow true.
Yeah.
I still have a fantasy of having jousting on scooters. Like, I come on, that would be so much fun.
Again, another reason for the policy.
Yes. Well, let's get this show on the road.
Yes, please.
We want to say a very quick and special thank you to our affiliates on
Patreon. It's called Patreon.
Thank you. God. It's been a morning, people. The people who support us on Patreon are incredible. They allow us to do this and be able to spend the money on this, and more importantly, they allow us to hire our editor, David, who's here with us.
Yes. David, editor,
He's the one who makes us sound smart.
I can verify that Dan does take a bathroom break before every bit. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Patreon supporters, especially. You help me buy groceries, and thank you for keeping me fat.
Yes, indeed you do. If you're wondering what's available on Patreon, is we have a whole bunch of special little episodes and outtakes and things like that if you are a subscriber.
A lot of stuff gets cut from the show. As anyone who heard the episode that came out this week knows, because we kind of fucked it up a little bit, and the bit was in there twice. So there you go. We also want to thank Big Fig Mattresses. They're phenomenal. They've been our first affiliate, long-time affiliate. If you need a mattress, they're great. Get one there. Also, Bearskin. They gave us some underwear to wear here, and I tested it out, and I got a compliment. So you can gather your compliments too. You can use the code BigFatGayPod to get 15% off your order, even still. And I think that's our deal. Want to do a show? Yeah. Want to do an actual thing? Let's do a show.
More show, please.
Excellent. So one of the things that I love about doing the show is getting the letters from listeners like this one. A listener writes, "Thank you for putting this podcast out. As I struggle with confronting my sexuality and my weight gain, this helps me feel still desired and is sort of an anchor in this moment in my life. Thank you." That's definitely one of the things I've found is that I've noticed when I talk about things where I'm like, nobody else could possibly be going through this fixation I have on one bulge on the front of my stomach on the right? I'm obsessed with it. And then I say it out loud, and suddenly there's 70 people out there like, yep, me too. Talking about it demasks it. You know, it's a wonderful thing. So thank you for writing it and sharing with us.
Yay.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
Yeah, let's do pop culture.
Okay,
let's get a pop culture.
Don't I need music?
Yeah.
We weren't able to bring the penguins. Sorry.
So we tried to hire penguins and it didn't work out.
It got very
The
messy.
zoo got very mad at us.
You just have to imagine the long, slow slide to the front with jazz hands.
I will say we do actually like dance. Like while we're like doing our
This is real.
Like we have our headphones on and we're stuck in our rooms and we're still grooving. You got to feel it.
This is a study. You know how I love studies. And this is a study that came across, it was written up in PLOS1.
+1.
Yeah. So it's +1. And it's an interesting study. They tend to do more accessible work. And this is a study that came out about online camming. So
That's it.
Putting yourself online, your face, your body.
yeah.
And watching cams.
And watching it. And so here's what happened. The study found that online camming with cam models, right, improved men's self-esteem about their body in 20% of cases.
Yeah.
Like 90% actually. And so what they did was they went to this website, a cam site, livejasmine.com.
For all you straight people out there, anybody?
Yeah, it's super straight. The respondents were like 92% straight. And they actually asked these men to just, do you want to do a study? Anonymous. They got 5,828 respondents. And asked them a bunch of questions about like how often do you use, what's your demographic, how long have you been on the site, what's been your experience on the site. And 19% said that being on the site has helped them overcome like body issues they had. Because, a lot of times there's a lot of investigation into women's body issues, but very little about men's body issues. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, what's also interesting to me is I actually went to the study, not just the article about the study.
This is what Dan does.
Yeah, that's what
this
I
is
do.
why he does these subjects.
And so it's like, I was like, so who's the population? Who are they talking to? The average age of the respondent is 41 years old, but it was a huge standard deviation. So you're really talking like 30 to 50. It was like, it was a 12-year standard deviation.
Pretty good spread.
Yeah, it's a pretty good spread. And over half, 52% of the respondents had been using the site for at least 5 years, usually more. And I thought it was, they had follow-up questions you could enter into, like, so what are you getting from this?
Yeah, you could write in.
And it was interesting that, they are cam models. So, people, they're making their living being nice to customers, right?
Being paid to be nice.
Being paid to be nice, right? And this is the one that I thought, there was one quote that's actually in the study, it's not in the article, and I thought this was great. And a guy wrote in, this is a free response, he said, I got bullied a lot when I was young, and I didn't have a very positive view of myself sexually. I know the models are paid to be nice, I'm not an idiot, but when you get consistently complimented on the same things, trends develop, and it becomes easier to accept those compliments as true. Combine that with the sexual attention, and it's been a big boost to my self-confidence that has led me to a much higher level of satisfaction in real life and offline.
Who else is kind of like proud of the straight guys? I have 20% of a tear on my
I just want to do so in case you don't know, like, how would that work? Remember, and most of these guys are doing one-on-one experiences. So there's the cam model, there's the customer, and they're actually interacting, they're talking about things. So they are revealing themselves on camera to some extent.
Yeah, sometimes.
I also just want to touch one other thing I noticed in this article. They do a little sidestep here talking about the benefit that some of these guys got from just talking about, I feel insecure about this part of myself to the person they're camming with.
Yeah.
And then talking with them about it and getting feedback from multiple people on the same thing. And basically just by talking about the issue, they registered a massive uptick in self-esteem, right? And that's one of the things I think I was talking about before. It's like by talking about the things that we're most afraid of with each other, right? You'd be amazed the amount of support that's just sitting out there waiting for you. And it's all about opening yourself up to the scary person that you're on a date with. Oh my God. Yeah. Or the friend.
Frankly, that's why we do this. Yeah. I mean, because, so we're like up on a stage and we're doing a podcast and it feels very sort of audience, speakers, but like we're not doing this for our benefit. We're doing this for a collective, like to create a conversation. That's why we're, the main subject is going to be exactly that. But you need to create the space for it, right? Yeah. And then you show up and help out.
But if the idea of camming seems a little intimidating to you, this just shows just talking about it in the first place. Yeah, that gets you started.
I'm curious, so who in the audience, because I'm pretty sure that I'm the only one on the podcast that has like not like I haven't been on like a pay camming site, but like I did a lot of kind of like camming experiences when I was in college, because it was like when iMessage was coming out and like it was very new, like like a lot of people have webcams built into their laptops now, and you could there was a lot on Skype. Remember Skype? But like, so I'm curious, just like raise your hand, like, have you done that before, where like you've been kind of like one-on-one with someone doing cam stuff?
Do you just mean one-on-one in any context, been on camera with a stranger,
like
somewhere across the
Let's do some like sexy time on cam.
Yeah.
But does it have to be with a stranger? Is that the, that's the idea?
I think that's
I think so, because at least they're, a stranger, or just like someone who you're pursuing.
I have had that experience, and one of the things I found very interesting was that when it did get more sexual, they started asking me to sort of direct the camera in spots I wasn't necessarily imagining would be that exciting to them. So by opening that out, it gave me a lot more self-esteem. Like, apparently I have nice legs. Apparently
you do.
So I didn't know that. And how are you going to know that unless people tell you that, right? So by putting yourself out there and allowing those affirmations in, and I've said this before, believing them when they tell you.
Yeah.
I think there's even just
lot.
like seeing Euphoria.
The TV show?
No, like someone's like, just see this kind of
Literally
like
watching the person's face.
Yeah, seeing their face and just see like that experience of like really for the first time seeing someone like you're like, oh, this is kind of weird and awkward, but then you just see them like, oh, this is like the best thing ever for them.
Oh yeah.
Especially when they have a request like, I want to see your legs or whatever. Like I had a guy who specifically wanted me to hold my belly in a certain way to kind of like make a certain shape, and I was like, this is kind of dumb, but seeing his reaction to when he wanted me to like hold it so it's kind of like football shaped, if you can picture that. Yeah, so I see nods. People know what I'm talking about. And it was like,
I saw some very enthusiastic nods out there. That's all I'm saying.
The most amazing thing for him. And I was like, I mean, this is like, I'm okay, like whatever, I'm just making my little football, but get it.
Be a hero for a football.
Yes.
Come on.
Somebody said demonstration. That's for chat. I think also there's an element of, when it's cam, you can't touch, right?
Yeah.
So there is a lot less unspoken communication. Like you kind of have to express what you want and what you like. Like you have to actually verbalize it, which makes it really, really clear. Like maybe if you're actually with somebody and, it's hot and heavy and whatever, like you might pick up on some cues and you might miss a lot of cues. Mm-hmm. And so I think just having that sort of forced communication can help a lot too.
Yeah, I think there is a lack of intimacy because there is no touch and it is completely visual with a time delay. But I think another advantage of that is that for someone who might have issues, body autonomy issues, or things where, like, I don't know if I want to be touched, and I don't know if I want you to have control over where and how you touch. It can be very empowering to be in an intimate sexual situation, but not feel as vulnerable. Like it's almost like there's a safety here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Is it time?
It's time.
Are you ready?
Okay. For those of you who are new, this is where I summon the eagle. Fat Watch 2025! The eagle has landed. Bobby, pick up the eagle.
Crowd surf the eagle. You got to.
So the real eagle was shy, so we had to get a stunt eagle instead.
And an eaglet.
That's a thing that happens sometimes.
The way incorporating an eagle, because it's 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. It's weird vibes.
Patriotism, yes.
America. No. The way I was haunted by this, trying to like, should I see if there's like someone with a hawk that like is like an eagle? Should I get an eagle costume?
Because we thought all the eagles would be rented out already.
Yeah. So there you go, America.
It's a big working day.
This is appropriate. The eagle just kind of like flopped over. It's the vibe.
Yeah.
But we have good news. It's Fat Watch. There's always hope.
We always
And-
take a really deep sigh before Fat Watch. It's like, okay, it's here.
So we have news from frequent Fat Watch feature, Reagan Chastain, in her weight and healthcare Substack, talking about a new project that she did with Flair, which is the Fat Legal Advocacy Rights and Education Project. And they have been working to compile a new database of places that have equipment that can accommodate people of higher weight. And
Yeah, because a lot of fat people know, they send you for an MRI and the MRI won't accommodate you, or even worse, the doctor doesn't send you for an MRI because they're like, well, he'll never fit anyway.
Yeah.
And this is, Don has experience with this.
Yeah,
I have experience with this.
They
I'm sure
told me to
many
go
people
find
in
a
the audience.
zoo.
Yes.
Which, if you missed the episode, is apparently bullshit.
Yeah.
It's
Guess
an
what?
urban
Zoos
legend.
don't take people.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing. They just say that.
It's something doctors love to just be like, just go to the zoo, and then it's not my problem anymore. It's the zoo problem.
Get
That's
out
not
is what they're saying.
a thing. But thankfully, so Reagan Chastain kind of in this article talks about the process of going to initially reaching out to the largest chain of imaging centers to be like, hey, so I'm trying to find out which of your centers have accessible equipment. And she transcribes a conversation with a woman who I imagine is named Susan. And the type of Susan where it's like her coworkers are like, hey, Sue. And she's like, it's Susan. Or like, Susie Q. It's like, no, just it's Susan, please. And being so dismissive. So why would you try to do this?
Can I read the last three lines of she included a transcript and some cues. So Susan, incredulous.
Do you want to do it as a dialogue?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll be Susan.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
And I'm taking her stage
No, you can do
direction,
it.
so I'm not making this up.
Okay, where are you reading from?
I'm just going to do the last three lines because it's long.
Okay.
Okay. So after they've been talking about this and Susan's being intransigent, Susan says, we have over 300 facilities. Are you really going to call 300 facilities?
And then Reagan trying to remain calm. Ma'am, this is a matter of life and death. I'll call far more than 300 facilities.
Well, I don't have a list for you. Done.
Yeah,
Yes, we don't have a list we can provide you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Incredible.
But the good news is,
Yes.
the news is,
Reagan Chastain, we reached out to Mary Lambert, who is a singer, fat activist, who put together a list of fat-friendly doctors. So Mary Lambert then used her contacts she made from doing this to reach out to another medical imaging company, Reyes Radiology, who are like, oh my God, yes, this is so important. We don't have a list, but we will work to put one together. So from these conversations with Mary Lambert and Reyes Imaging, there is now it's a Google Sheets, Excel spreadsheet of 17 states that have accessible equipment, and it lists the weight limit for the machines, or if there's a dimension issue, because these different machines have different restrictions depending on if it's an open MRI or not. And they also have a form for if you're interested in volunteering. If you are a data geek, do we have any data geeks? I just love to research and just
Spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets. and I see some nods.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you.
So you can apply to volunteer to be part of this project. Right now they have 17 states: California, Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Massachusetts, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. And they're going
can I just point out my friend Jeff, who's like, where's Louisiana? Fattest state in the country.
Where's Nevada? Come on.
I think this is so, because right before this came out, I was having a conversation with my doctor of hey, so I need, I was having some knee issues. Thankfully, they've mostly resolved just from my chiropractor put some THC cream on, and it was something was just kind of stuck, and then it's oh, it's not stuck anymore. But I still want to check it out because it has kind of been locking up. And he's like, oh, well, I'm kind of friendly with this one imaging center, so I'll reach out to them directly to see if they can accommodate you or if they have resources. But to have this kind of manifest and that it is actively being updated and
Can people access this database now?
yeah.
Okay. So obviously they only have 17 states, not your state yet. But right now, if you wanted to see like, okay, so where can I go? This database is accessible as a Google Doc. How could we get it to people or
I mean, it'll be in the episode description page. If you're like, I need to see this right fucking now, come up to me after the show and I'll just link, do a little QR code or something. Yeah. I think it's so great, especially just because we have talked about this, like we mentioned on the podcast before, and I know so many people that have just been, put aside, like, well, at some point I'll do this if I can lose weight, or just have been trying to get care. I think everyone either in this room has either experienced it personally or knows someone. And if they're like, oh, well, I don't really know one, you do, because there's so many people in this room that I know of that have had these issues.
And I just want to reiterate, in talking with Trevor's doctor about this knee thing, we were talking about, how do you get one that fits? And he actually was the one who said, or sometimes the doctor doesn't prescribe imaging or says you don't need that because they've been trained. Don't prescribe something the patient can't get or results you can't use. And so even though you need it, the doctor will say, oh, no, you don't need one of those. And you're like, oh, great, I guess I don't need an MRI. Dodge that bullet. No, they just didn't know of a place to send you.
This circles back to one of the things we talk about on the podcast a lot, is that we are our best advocates, right? Not just for ourselves, but for each other. When I make a big stink about the MRI machine that they told me I had to go to a zoo for, and I make it clear that it wasn't okay that they did it to me, that means somebody else behind me might not have to go through the same experience. I find a lot of us may not feel that great about advocating for ourselves, but when you realize that by advocating for yourself, you're advocating for other people who may not have the opportunity to do it, that moves the world.
And may I say, chasers, step the fuck up. You, in many cases, if you are the partner of a large-sized person, you need to be that advocate for them. Because, it just changes the whole listening. If Trevor complains about something, or if I complain about something on his behalf, whether we're in a restaurant or it's travel, they listen to me more.
Yeah.
Because I don't sound fat.
I think also just this is something very easy to share on Twitter or Facebook and just like, oh, this is a great thing, because I feel like especially like in wide social media spheres, you probably have people that like your aunt's friend Peg that you met at a barbecue and you're randomly Facebook friends with who could need this.
Yeah.
So share it. If you are a data geek, I encourage you to volunteer to contribute to this project, and just spread the word.
Yay.
And thank you, Reagan Chastain and Flair, for doing
My
this.
hero, Reagan Chastain. I love her.
She's incredible.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
What do we do next?
We do the main subject next.
What's the main subject, Michael?
Main subject is us, everybody.
Yes.
Us and you guys. So last time we did this, it felt like it was really effective to just like kind of acknowledge like where we are. Like we're here, we're at BiggerVegas. It's a lot. There's a lot of things that have happened. We're just starting the weekend, which is probably the craziest part of the event, which is nuts to say because it's been a lot already.
If you think it's been crazy so far, no, it's only Friday.
Yeah.
Friday morning,
We're not even there yet.
Who here has had some big feels since they've been here already?
Big feels?
I'm seeing some hands up in the air. It can be a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what are some of the things that you guys have been looking forward to? What are the things that you've experienced so far?
I can start. So last time around, I don't know. I'm just curious. Of the people who are here, who were at 3 years ago at our first live episode? We got a few here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, damn.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you.
Yay, thank you.
So I expressed at the time, and you might have heard that episode afterwards too, that I had a lot of body image issues that I was working through too, and I was sort of like trying to like couch my words a little bit because I didn't want to take up the space of the people who have to live with that whether they like to or not. But there was a lot of like I don't want to go in the pool because like I don't want to take my shirt off and that kind of thing, and I didn't know what to do with that. I just thought it might be valuable to share. And some other chasers actually stood up and kind of like expressed a similar sentiment. I actually had a really, really great conversation with somebody after that, just like walking back to their room, where it was like, oh yeah, like we've had very, very similar experiences in that sense. Actually a few times. It's been really good. And so this year, you'll notice I'm wearing my tank top.
This is revolutionary for Michael. This is a milestone, everybody. Yeah.
It's a change of
I
pace.
did not recognize Michael
Literally
when he
didn't
walked
recognize-
in, just because I don't know. You also had this like swagger of like I'm in a tank top. And it was twice actually. That then I think it was like the same day in a different room, like coming in and like, oh, it's Michael.
Yeah, I literally walked all the way up to their table. But I guess the difference is that I didn't get there on my own. I didn't just like brute force my way through the issue. I didn't think my way through the issue. I find therapy incredibly helpful, but sometimes you actually have to go do stuff or talk to people like in community who have had the same issues or whatever. And so in the last like year and a half, I have been sort of dealing with a lot of my own body changes, and a lot of that stuff is out of your control, and you kind of just have to roll with it. And I have found an incredible support from the people in our community who have been very, embracing of like how I look and that kind of stuff. And so coming into this event, I don't know that I even really thought that much about it. Like we went to the pool. I went to Piranha. Anyone know Piranha? And then went to the pool party afterwards, which was new for me. Last year, I did the opposite, where I went in the pool while everyone was at the club, right? Because it's the quiet pool. This time, I just fuck it, went in, hung out with Bobby and Jason and a few other people. Chris was there, and really realized I haven't even been thinking about this, and that's not because I haven't been going to a bunch of pools in the interim time. It's I think literally the last time I was in a pool was at BiggerVegas a year ago, once for like an hour, and I think it just really has been because of the conversations I've had with the people, a lot of people in this room. And so first of all, it's like, thank you for helping me there. But also that is what this is for, like to get those conversations going, to hear people talk about their own personal stories and to understand that I think a lot of us understand that we're not alone, but understanding something and feeling that way are very different things. And I think you need both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm maybe a different lesson learned in that it's always work, right? To kind of there's a mental health work that you have to do for yourself. I've spent so much of my life sort of feeling like I was under a microscope for my body that I get very self-obsessed and self-absorbed and nervous and anxious. And even doing this podcast and talking so bluntly about my body and the way I interact with things, I found myself still tensing up when I was getting ready for BiggerVegas. I had the same anxiety I did last time. Yay, personal growth. But I found it was a little easier for me to adjust once I got here this time. It felt like more familiar water, right? Mm-hmm. And I think, again, I feel like a lot of us can feel like desert plants, right? Where we don't get a lot of water in the form of attention, of admiration over the course of the time between these events. So then when we show up and all of a sudden there's so much water, right? That I find a lot of us can find it very intimidating right up front, right? But these sort of events are so helpful if you let yourself feel it and feel your way through it. You can find the enjoyment on the other side if you can grapple with the fear that stands between you and the fun, right? Mm-hmm. I am past the fear again. Took me a day, took me 24 hours.
Well,
I'm
that's
feeling
faster.
a little better.
Yeah. That's faster, right?
Yeah. Sometimes it takes you a little time to get your feet on the ground, and that's okay, right? How about you? I mean, I had a lovely opening period so far. How about you?
I think it's been a great event, but you look like you had something to say, so I want to.
Well, I got to I was looking forward to coming back to BiggerVegas just because being in a space that is very fat and very gay.
Yeah.
I think especially just this year, it's been a rough year. It's been weird. But just getting to come back and see people, and I went to the Showtime sing-along, which I did not sing along.
You went to the Showtime sing-along?
Yes. But I was like, I don't know. I was like, that sounds fun. And I saw some friends there. And getting to be in a big fat gay sing-along and specifically seeing Chaser Robert, who was here taking pictures earlier, singing Wig in a Box from Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Nice.
There was
good choice.
a couple singing I'll Cover You from Rent, and they were told the story they sang it at their wedding. So it was a very lovely thing to see this duet and get to know that they also did this for their wedding, which is such a magical thing. A 70-year-old gentleman from Kansas saying "Somewhere Over the Rainbow."
Oh.
Wow.
Which is just like very beautiful, and yeah, exactly. So these are little claps.
I heard Kevin killed it too. He's sitting over there.
Well, of course.
And a chaser from Abu Dhabi saying Arabian Nights.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I don't know, it's such like weird little things where it is so nourishing to get to like just experience that in, community, and then also just seeing friends. And so Dawn, I was very excited to tell you about this. So I had a friend come up to me yesterday and he's like, Trevor, do you want to go in a helicopter? And I said immediately, no. And he's like, no, we can buy you 2 seats because it's the weight capacity. So it is 300 pounds per seat.
Nice.
I still don't want to go. And then I found out later, it's like, well, like we could just like, if you're more comfortable, book out the whole thing. I was like, I was assuming that was already the case. So if there are, okay, I'm just curious. Chubs in the audience, who wants to go in a helicopter?
I
Okay,
knew
more
it.
than yes.
My people.
So I told my friend, I'm like, you should take Don because Don has not gotten to go on his dream of the hoverboat.
Yeah, Don had this
that's true.
long stay when we were going to go to New Orleans when there was the ill-fated convergence in
ages
New Orleans.
ago.
Yeah. Which is so sad. But Don really wanted to go on the swamp fan boat.
Yeah, the fan
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah.
I want to go on a fan boat so badly. You have no idea.
Yeah, we don't know either. So, but yeah,
I support your dream.
I love that for you.
What is a helicopter if not the riverboat of the sky?
It's a Mark II fan boat. It's amazing.
It's just tilted.
You could go straight up with that thing.
Also, I'll make some connections. There may be a follow-up in the next episode.
Right.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Of Don's helicopter journey. I don't know. I love my scooter. I love soaring at high speeds in that, but I don't think I was meant for the air.
Yeah, me either. I was there for that conversation. I immediately
Well, and
said
the thing
no.
is, I'm like, oh yeah, Michael will go with you. And Michael's like, the hell I will.
No, I was uncomfortable at the restaurant we went to, which was incredible.
It's very high.
But it's on the 56th floor. Oh, nobody needs 56 floors. Can I just we're in a desert. Expand sideways. That's the point.
Yes.
There's
It's
plenty
all
of room.
about expanding sideways.
It really is, especially here.
I was hoping someone would tip that off.
Yeah, I definitely resonates with me. I think I've been going to these events like many of you for a very long time. I think my first event was 1998. Yeah,
Is that even a
half of
year?
you weren't even alive. Come on.
Oh, wait, hold on. Who wasn't alive in 1998?
Wait, just one of you? Yeah,
Two?
come on.
We got two?
Yeah.
2 babies in bodies. The craziest thing is they're not babies. We're just old.
We're just old now.
And that was my very first event, and it was I don't know if anybody remembers that far back, but it was Convergence 98 Reno, Nevada.
Ooh,
the biggest
Reno.
little city in America. And that's literally their slogan, biggest little city in America. And it was just bizarre and like this whole wonderland. And comparing that to like what it's like for me now, obviously many years later. But it's still this thing. Because, I was always that kid. I went to an all-nerd high school. We didn't have sports. We had science fair. And we liked it that way.
Okay, Dan. Dan was the dunce at this school, and that should tell you a lot.
Because I was the one who needed like remedial calculus. I was the one who was in, like quantum physics for dummies. So it was because people were doing projects. I'll tell you this. I don't think any of you knows this. My 10th grade science fair project.
Oh no.
Was using holographic interferometry to measure the displacement of low-speed airfoils.
What are you in
I think I actually understand what that is.
So, and I was kind of the middle student. Anyway, so I have always felt like a freak, even among the freaks. And so, for me, even being, and I lived in the Village, and I lived in Chelsea in New York, and I lived in the Castro in San Francisco, and I live in West Hollywood now. And so, like,
And they're all gay now because of you.
I'm working hard, Michael. I'm working real hard. And the thing was that, so for me, the sort of normal gaydom, that's as normal as I can pretend to be. You put me out with like the straights and they thought, that makes no sense to me.
I'm the wild.
So when I found this community, it was really amazing because it was, and as I've said to people, this is the only space I know where being gay is normal and being fat is sexy. That is true nowhere else that I know of. Yep. Gay is normal and fat is sexy. Sometimes you get one or the other, but never both at the same time. And yeah, hilarity ensues. But it's really important. And I think now that I've been here, the way I experience events changed. Like, you know, when I was single, I did events different than now that I have a husband. Yep. I think, you know, the importance of sex and like, am I going to get laid now? Am I getting laid now? Well, what about now? Okay, but what about the now? And now? And now?
What about now?
Yeah. Are we done yet? Because I need to have sex now.
We have a hard out, and that's why.
So anyway, I thought what would be interesting is, should we throw it open to?
Yeah, I think now's a good time.
I think it's a very good time.
We want to open this up to you guys, and if you want to share any of your stories, either from this event or other, like it doesn't have to be localized to here. I think we can start there, and then open up from there. We've requisitioned the handsome and fabulous Chris Link to run a microphone around the room. So if you have something you want to share, just raise your hand. He will get you that mic. That way the people in the stream can hear, and we can get a really nice recording.
And just to reiterate, what we're looking to hear is either things you've noticed that maybe are new for you or not new for you, or things that ground you have taken, like Michael and Don talked about, like you feel like it's different, or maybe questions you have, like this isn't working for me. How does everybody else do it?
Yeah.
Okay. We got hands up. Chris, get on up there.
Go.
We need you to channel
Can we
your
get a
best
round of applause for
inner Vanna
Chris?
White.
Like, he didn't have to do that.
Can you hear me? Oh, cool. Well, it's funny. My partner and I met on Bigger City 16 years ago, probably at this point.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to go to an event where I could feel like if my swimsuit falls and my ass crack hangs out, I don't have to worry about pulling it up right away. When I'm in
some people
D-town,
might
I feel
ensure
really
that doesn't
insecure about
happen.
being big, even at Bear Week. So being here, it's nice to be around bigger bodies that I don't feel judged. I can just kind of be myself and eat mozzarella sticks and spaghetti.
But yeah, it's like letting your hair down, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It really
have
is.
donuts with y'all.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had so many donuts.
Yay.
So many donuts. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Two things. The helicopter thing.
Yeah.
I won a helicopter ride with my husband, and we couldn't use it
Oh.
because I was over 300 pounds. And I was like, I have always wanted to go on a helicopter ride. So if anyone has a free helicopter ride, please let me know. All right.
We had to hook up.
Chub's in the air.
So this is something I've noticed in this space that if anyone wants to comment on, I'd be interested to hear. But like, this is also a sexual topic, but it's sort of interesting being a chub top at these events because there's this notion that like chubs are bottoms and chasers are tops, right? And when you flip that dynamic, it's interesting. One of the things that I've noticed is that chaser tops won't even like make eye contact with me sometimes. It's really an interesting experience. So I was wondering if there are any other chub tops or like verse tops out there who have like a similar experience in this space, because it's been interesting.
Yeah.
For
Or,
sure.
chaser bottoms.
That's the other thing. Like, there are a lot of chasers who are tops by default.
Yes.
And when they meet a chub top, they're like, what are you doing later? Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's you?
If I could respond to that, I think that's really key, that a lot of times people in any community, you get cast in roles. Mm-hmm. Like the chub is the bottom. Why? Well, because he's a chub. Like it's just default, or the chaser must be the top. And there's it's by size, it's by racial stereotype. There's a lot of these things where like, oh, you're this, you must be that.
But I also wanted to stretch that into beyond the sexual. I think a lot of the social roles are assumed right off the bat. So like, I think a lot of chubby guys assume the chaser will be the one who asks them out.
Oh, if only that were true.
And initiates. But they assume it, and so you end up with these long dates that are basically like middle school dances where they're both waiting for the other one to ask them to dance, and then they go home. So all of it comes down to a little bit of courage from time to time. You have to put yourself out and expose your true desires in order to get them.
Did anyone want to respond to that question, comment?
Oh, we got one
here.
Yes. We got two over here.
I'm not sure if this is exactly the situation, but I think it falls into the notion that gentle giant, at least from my perspective, I find most chubbies to be that gentle giant, and as a chaser, I like that. So when I find a chubby that is, say, a top, which means they can be a little assertive, you have to find another way to deal with that.
Do you find that a good thing, or do you find it a little intimidating?
Like, is it challenging and interesting, or is it like, no, I don't know what to do here?
It's not challenging because I'm a top. But it's interesting, and I do get into that type of conversation or a social situation from time to time because I'm interested to see where this is going. And maybe in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, is he really a top, or he's trying to?
Believe them when they tell you that they are.
It's a little stereotypical, but I don't think they mean anything bad if they don't interface with you. Because if I look at your profile online and it says you're a top, I'm pretty much going to walk on by because that's not what I'm looking for.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not anything against you. It's just you're looking for that connection, and it's not there. It's just like a chubby who will say, looking for a slim chaser. Sometimes I'll entertain the conversation, but most likely I'm going to walk on by because I'm not a slim chaser. I'm a husky dude.
I think there was back there. Yeah, there we go.
Hi, folks. This is Kazon.
Hi.
I actually am a chaser bottom, but I only got into that position because I didn't really know where I fit. There's a pun in that. Thank you. And when I was first coming to terms of like my sexuality, because I've been out since I was like 14, and no one really told me what I could or could not be until I realized, wait, I could be where the well, am I allowed to curse? I don't know.
Yes.
I can be where the fuck I
Wholeheartedly.
want.
Never curse, okay?
As long as you're enthusiastic about it.
Like, I could be wherever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And I realized that maybe bottoming isn't for me, or I'm on my own journey. And one thing that helped me was actually talking to other chasers who are tops or verse or who are just kinksters. And I realized that I don't need to be in any particular label, and I can just change it whatever I want, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And
Yes.
as long as I communicate what I want and what I don't want, the rest is really just a matter of figuring out the rest.
I love
right?
that so much. Communicate what you want, and and then you have a higher chance of getting it.
And one other point that I've realized is also having context, because I know a lot of like sapphic, fat couples and relationships, and they don't have these conversations. They're not struggling with like conversations of top or bottoms because that's just not like a thing that they have conversations about. So that context helped me a lot with like my own self-realization that I don't need to worry about these labels unless they're important to me when they are. And when they are, then we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
There's something very black and white, I think, about labels, just in terms of like on or off, yes or no. And yeah, they're helpful for like, I think, shortening certain like initial interactions. But ultimately, like people aren't like, you might be a chub, but like, okay, but who are you for me? Like, who are we as as two people talking to each other?
And just speaking as a slightly older guy now, I want to encourage people to also check in with what you want and what you enjoy with yourself every few years. Because like I know plenty of guys that were bottoms when they were in their 20s, tops in their 30s. In their 40s, they're kind of all over the place. And then they finally figure out what they want in their 50s, only to find out they want something new in their 60s. So just because it works for you that one time, it's great if it works for you again. but keep the menu open, right? Always keep checking in. What is it I'm really enjoying right now? And feel free to experiment, but I never stop experimenting.
I think that gets easier as you get older, because as you get older, you have less patience for what does not thrill you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad that now, like, side is a thing, because
God, yes.
I used to default to bottom because I'm like, well, like, I'm definitely not a top. And I would kind of have this whole, especially at like BiggerVegas, the dance of like, well, I want to fuck you. And it's like, well, have you heard of fold fucking? Counter proposal. And the fact that now it's on Bigger City, and also, I don't have my badge on right now.
To be clear, side is on Bigger City as a status, not fold fucking.
No.
Which should be, yeah, exactly.
Someday.
Someday we'll have true inclusivity.
But they have the fact that there's a side ribbon for, my badge is buried somewhere. You can see if you're top or bottom or side, or looking for chubs, looking for bears, looking for chasers. Maybe next BiggerVegas, we will sponsor fold fucking.
We'll have a seminar. Do you think anyone would be interested in that? I don't know.
Okay, does this include demonstrations? Because this is getting into a different category.
It's
We'll go back to cams.
For anyone who's very confused, if you're new to the podcast, you can jump back to our first Valentine's Day episode.
I think it's
where we
episode 7.
discuss this phenomenon. And at that point in the podcast, I still had like relatives listening to it.
Yes,
I had
same.
Not anymore.
Straight high school friends. I had a friend who was going through the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts as I started talking about this when they were placing their order. So we have some more hands. Chris.
My name's Connor. Shifting topic a little bit, I just wanted to share that this is my first event ever.
Welcome!
Thank you. And I just wanted the applause. No, I'm kidding.
Hell yeah.
When I was, I'm not going to give you my whole life story, I swear, but when I was 12, I was at a swimming pool and I had started to, get the moobs going. And this little girl that was a neighbor friend, we were swimming together and she was like, "Are you a boy or a girl?"
Wow.
And I was like, "I'm a boy." And she goes, "Why do you have boobies?" I was like, okay. So that was the last time I had my shirt off in public ever. And she obviously a child, innocent question, but I was like, oh, this is embarrassing. This is shameful. And until this week, I have been a pasty-bellied big bitch because I have not had my shirt off outdoors.
Have you gotten in the pool already?
I went for it.
Yeah.
And I'm only sharing this because as I shared some of this with other first timers, a surprising amount of chubs were like, "Oh, same for me." And it was. I just wanted to acknowledge that it's so ridiculous. Like, not the whole sex thing aside, just like feeling like it's okay to be shirtless and you're not offending everyone is an interesting experience. And I took my shirt off and the world did not end. So.
I just want to share with you the last BiggerVegas we came to. That was my big moment for me, was floating in the pool in broad daylight on my back, belly and boobs above water, and feeling completely at peace with it, right? An experience I literally never had in my life. I get it. Welcome. Yeah. I'm so glad you're
in the
here.
right place.
A couple of things. One, I do want to remark how accepting and affirming everyone here is and has been. It is very different from being the person who gets the look. I don't even have to do the look. We all know it.
The people behind you imagine they look very well.
They know the look.
Yeah.
And so just how accepting and affirming our group is and how empowering that is. 2, on the chasers with body image issues, I feel ya. Because I've had that since I've been 7. And I don't think a lot of times people think like how this really nice looking chaser guy is concerned about his ab development or his legs are too skinny. And I used to feel like, well, that's my line. I'm the one who's supposed to be insecure about me. And so I just want to point out that, we all have those issues, but just what an affirming group this has been. And secondly, just as a funny little aside, BiggerVegas does remind me of my very first time for Memorial Day at Provincetown.
Oh, wow.
When I realized lesbians cruised each other.
But here's what I want to know. How does that relate to this event now?
It relates to this event now because I have gotten attention here that I sometime can be oblivious to getting.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not, I'm not expecting, I'm not conditioned to it. And and I ignored a guy and I felt horrible about it later.
When did you find out you ignored him?
Like 10 minutes later?
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, you're very cute. I like you." And instead of stopping, engaging, chatting, I was like, "Oh, thank you," and left. So when people are brave enough to be the first to do it,
yes,
Chub or Chaser, let's acknowledge them and start a conversation.
Yeah. I'm going to suggest to the organizers of this event that next time they have little flags they can give out that say, "I am hitting on you." Hi, how are you? I would like to touch your penis, please.
Yeah. You just want to see that little flag pop up.
Absolutely.
We have a prompt from chat, so I think this could be a good segue.
How fun.
Sway writes, what are some things currently giving you hope for the future of fat queer representation?
That's huge.
Everyone here?
And I think it's open to media, to role models, to other things. Oh, we have Greg over here.
We got it.
I actually loved the 2 horror movies that were shown this week by the Skeleton Crew guys.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Bingley.
Josh, where's Josh? Stand up, Josh.
Yes. Oh, that's so funny. They were just so wonderful. They were charming and scary and fun, and it was really fat friendly. I mean, there were people banging, chubbies banging. There was Chaser representation in them all, and it was so fantastic. I belong to this group on Facebook called the Big Fat Gay Horror Fan Club, and there's a bunch of thousands of people in it, and I'm going to recommend them because they will not all of them even probably know what a chub looks like, some of them, but it's really an accepting group, and those films were so fun, and it just gave me such hope. I can't wait for your next 10 horror movies with all them big bodies and delicious bodies of all kinds.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. Representation in movies and media has been improving at times, so...
I just have a short story sort of relating to what Trevor was saying about the side ribbon and the chub bottom comment that was earlier. I wear a side ribbon as well, and I've actually had multiple different conversations with different people that was basically boiled down to asking me, what do I not enjoy about being fucked? And with the presumption being that if I wasn't a side, I'd be a bottom. And having to sort of explain that, no, if I wasn't a side, I'd probably be a top, actually. And so the real question is, where are the better places to, be putting my cock other than, up someone's behind? And those have been some fun conversations to have. But, there's definitely is that sort of a commonality just sort of among people assumptions have.
Yeah. It reminds me of if you weren't gay, what kind of woman would you like?
Offering free demonstrations of the alternatives can be nice pickup line.
And then sort of an unrelated question. This is my third BiggerVegas, and I like to, when I do these sort of events, I like to make sure I try something new every time just to see if I can get a different experience.
Helicopter.
And it's a good point. The thing I wanted to do this time was to really embrace the advice that I keep hearing of when you meet cool folks and you want to connect with them more to pick a time, pick a place, actually get something on the books.
Yep.
And so I've been trying that a lot, this BiggerVegas, and I'm finding myself just kind of running into brick walls. a lot, where it's like either that the question doesn't get answered, it gets ghosted, or topic gets changed, or some folks are really kind to be like, I've already got my week pretty much planned out and there's not much opportunity there. So I'm just wondering, like, any tips or advice on sort of getting an answer to that question, A, in the first place, and B, getting a yes?
Yeah. So I might have, this is advice that I give all the time. I don't know if I give it to you, but yeah, if it's not on the calendar, it ain't happening. And because it'll be 4 days of like, oh yeah, we should definitely get together. Okay, I'm going to dinner. Bye. And then it just evaporates, right? Whereas, you've got to be on the calendar. And yet you are absolutely right, Darcy. You'll be like, okay, what about this afternoon at 2? Cricket. You could send a follow-up, which is there a better time for you? But remember also, because it's probably happening to you too, they're getting lots of offers. And if you've, like, what most people don't want to do with their vacation is schedule. Yeah. And it is a lot, especially, when I say the popular people, that's no particular look. There are lots of kinds of popular people here, and they're not always the people you think of as being popular. And for some people, popular is having 2 people interested in them because they've never dealt with that many. And they've never, like, you're interested in me and the other guy's interested in me. I remember once upon a time there was this chaser, adorable, cute as hell little chaser. He got 2 guys interested in him that he knew of, probably another 10 that he didn't. But he hid in his room because he didn't know how to deal with it. He just hid. He's like, they're going to come up to me and I won't know what to say. And if I say yes to this one, what about that one? And if I say yes to that one, what about this one? And there was, I'll just hide. And so I guess the moral of that is it's never personal. They don't know you that well. It can't be personal. It sometimes is a failure of contact management. They just literally can't deal with that many people, which could be 2, let alone 10. Because I don't know about y'all, but outside of these kinds of events, most chasers have never had to deal with interest from more than one person at a time. And I say the chasers because, again, there's this tacit assumption that the chase is going to chase. They're not necessarily any better than that than you are. And so and the other side I would say is that, yes, you're still better off trying to get a firm time and place commitment, even if it's fungible, even if it's like, can't make it, but and then reschedule. If you can't make something, it's not a sin to cancel, but then propose another time. So I am still interested. Can't do now at 3. How about tomorrow at 4? Whatever.
What do you think about nailing down a day if they can't nail down a time? Like definitely like Tuesday. Let's do Tuesday.
Well, but then I would say Tuesday. I'll call you in the morning. I'll text you in the morning. Like there has to be a point of contact, or Tuesday's going to come and go. Yeah. And you think you're here for 6 days, and that's an infinite amount of time, but it goes faster and faster and faster and faster. So even getting no response, I would propose to you, is more helpful than waiting around for it.
I'm Kevin. It's just kind of a personal growth thing from the last time we were all here at BiggerVegas. So the last BiggerVegas was my first time here. Loved the live episode then. Trevor and Dan, I don't know if you guys remember, but I hounded you guys a little bit before and after the live episode, and I talked a lot with Don and Michael about hey, so I just got into this relationship with this guy, and he's the first super chub I've ever been in a relationship with. How do I handle certain things? How do I have a relationship with somebody who I've never had been in a relationship with someone?
Yeah, size matters.
Yeah. And I brought him here 3 years later. I think he's having a good time. But just to say thank you for the keep going. Thank you for the podcast that you've been doing. Thank you for all the advice that you give in all of your episodes. That it does help. We hear it, and it reaches the audience you guys are looking for, and it changed my life. I'm sure I'm not the only person here whose life was changed by our podcast. So thank you for what you do, and keep doing it, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's really, really kind.
I'll give you the 50 out on the outside.
Do you want to transition to the tip from that?
I feel like we have room. So I think so. Our tip, we can keep going. Our tip was the movie Things Like This, which is screening at 2, like right after this, because we got such a late start. We just wanted to put that out there. That's in 15 minutes. I highly recommend it. I've seen it before. I loved it. The opening scene is for people in our community is rough. But it's essential for the movie. Like, it sets the stakes. Stick with it. It's worth it. I promise. And if you want to see that, that's coming up. I think we can, like, it feels like there's still more people that want to share, and I think we can keep going with
More
that.
important than,
Yeah.
Okay.
About trying to nail down a date or something of that nature with someone you admire. And if that's not happening, sometimes I think your energy is better served. You have to recognize when someone else is trying to reach you.
Yes, thank you.
You know,
thank you.
And don't do unto them what is being done to you. Open that door. Right?
I hear, just to pick it, yes, absolutely right, because I hear so many times, like, nobody at the event is interested in me except those 10 people you won't pay attention to.
It happens.
Yeah, and sometimes after doing that, you'll be surprised the same person who is kind of ignoring you to begin with, when they see that you're comfortable in your own skin and that you have a community around you, all of a sudden you now look more attractive. You know, that's been my experience. I'm a confident type of person, so it doesn't matter one way or the other.
You're fine. You're good.
But also, let yourself be vulnerable. For those people who think, you know, no one is approaching you, it's okay if someone says, "I," like the gentleman that's leaving now said, you know, someone said "I," and then 10 minutes later you realize, "Oh, I just missed an opportunity."
Yeah.
You know what? Go back to that person and say, you know, yesterday or earlier today, you said "I" to me, and I really didn't know what to say to you, but I think I like you.
Pro tip, that person, if you can't find them in the space, because there's 1,600 people here, pro tip, they probably checked out your profile on Bigger City. Just look at who's checked you out.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Hi, I'm Alan from Nebraska.
Hey.
Hi.
And just to say that I needed this week. It has been very stressful in my life this past year. My best friend passed away like 2 weeks ago. And his funeral was on Tuesday, where I gave a heartfelt eulogy for him. And then Wednesday, I came here. With all the things that have been going on in my life, I've been having panic attacks. And so since coming here, I have not had a panic attack or anxiety attack and all that. And I've been feeling so calm and relaxed.
Oh.
I do feel like I'm a kid in a candy store. And so I think
As you
maybe
should.
that helps. But I just want to thank all you guys for being so friendly, so kind to me and all that. So that's all I have to say.
Oh, I got one over here.
I don't have anything to say really, but I wanted Chris to bring me the
And that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to do it.
That's how you flirt. That's how you flirt. How about a bit? How about something
How
fun
about
to end the
gentlemen,
show?
with that, I think it's time we reach our bit to close out our episode today. Since we have a few people here who've heard the podcast before, I thought I'd do a bit where you find out a little bit about each of us. How about that? And so I asked everybody here to send me some secret facts about themselves that they didn't think anybody else would know. And then I found out that we had some things in common with each other
Weirdly.
that we didn't know about.
This was not planned at all.
Okay, so none of these, they know what one of these are, but the rest of them they don't know yet. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you something that two of us on the panel have in common, and I'm going to tell you it's these two or these two. And then by applause, I'm going to ask you to tell us which you think is the right guess.
Which pair is the
correct guess?
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So first off, which two co-hosts nearly died at theme parks? Who thinks it was Dan and Michael?
By show of applause.
Okay. All right. We got some. All right. Who thinks it was Trevor and Don?
That was louder, but fewer people clapped. So
I think people were going for Dan and
overall,
Michael on
that's
that
what
one.
I felt. Yeah.
And in fact, it was Dan and Michael. So I am a little curious to find out the story.
It was harrowing.
Tell us what happened real quick.
I'll go first. Sure.
All right.
So I was on a school field trip to Busch Gardens in Virginia, which has a roller coaster called Apollo's Chariot, which goes very, very high and then very, very fast. And as a teenager, I was a nervous kid. I'm afraid of heights. I don't do roller coasters anymore. This is why. We're going up, and my ADHD brain picks up a metallic clinking sound, like a ting, like. And I look down and I see something shiny and metal falling away from the roller coaster. And I couldn't tell what it was, but it caught the sunlight. I was like, okay, what was that?
Having just seen Final Destination, I'm sure that was exciting.
Yeah, not great for somebody who's afraid of heights. And so we get to the top, and that's always the worst part, right? It's like you're going up and you have all this time to think about the different ways you're going to die on the way down. We go down, it's very, very fast, and then the way it works is you go straight down and straight up another hill, but it's at speed this time. So you're sort of launching at the apex of that jump is what it felt like. My harness that goes over your shoulders went. What? Yeah, exactly.
It loosened.
It loosened. And I panicked and I held on as tight as I could. I was sure that if I couldn't hold myself in place, I was going to fly off into the rest of Busch Gardens and land on somebody and die.
Or Busch.
Yeah. So what I think actually happened is that somebody dropped a penny. I connected too many dots, and then I was tensing up when we went over the second jump and was pushing against it, and it just unlatched and then hit the safety. I think.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what happened, but
you're here with us. We're going to go with that.
There was about a minute and a half where I was sure I was going to launch into the stratosphere.
That's great.
How about you, Dan?
So I was at the European Chub Chaser event, which at the time it's no longer operating, but it was wonderful, called EBMC, European Big Men's Convergence. And so the year I was in Brussels, and there was a water park. Y'all have heard of water parks, right? Mm-hmm. But unlike American water parks, the tubes were not made of plastic, right? They were made of concrete, plastered concrete.
Jesus.
And I should have had a heads up when because you shower before you go into the main pool area, or you should. And I was like, why is the first aid station the entire length of that wall?
And why is the water red here? This is so strange.
Why is there a body at the end of this slide?
So I'm in the water sluice, and I am getting myself pounded against plastered concrete. At one point, there was a whirlpool that I got stuck in. There were some chubs who never got out of that whirlpool without help.
They're still there to this day.
I was joking about a body at the end of the slide.
No, they had to have help to extract them because they were so buoyant they couldn't move on to the next part of the flume.
Oh my God.
And there was one point where I just, it's just really fun. Ha ha, scrape, scrape. That's okay. Scrape, scrape, boom, and boom. My head hits the concrete wall.
Oh my God.
And I'm fine. It's just bruised. It's fine. And I'm like, okay, I need to stop doing this. And I'm walking out, and I spy, because I hadn't been there, there's like a kiddie section. And the whole thing became clear to me when I saw the kiddie flume. So imagine you have a 5-year-old, and they climb up the little steps, and it's about a meter high, about a yard, and you get up to the top, and it's again the plastered concrete, and they get up there and they can go wee on one way or wee down the other way, and between the two wees is sharp lava rock. So any extraneous arm or leg is going to get ripped. And I'm like, okay, now I understand this park. I am done with this.
Okay. I will say Magnus in chat has been there and loves this park and vouches for it. So I don't know what to say.
This is a quality.
We move from death to musical theater. So 2 of our hosts have played roles in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. One was one of Joseph's brothers, and the other was a hairy Ishmaelite. Who thinks it was Trevor and Don? Give us some applause. Oh, that seems pretty boisterous.
That feels like about
Who thinks it was Dan and Michael?
Yeah, that seems about right.
You guys got it right. All right, you guys got it right. What were you?
So in my 8th grade Catholic school production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat,
It's online now. You can watch it.
I was Asher.
Oh, okay.
Who I ended up then, I don't know if it was like in the middle of rehearsals or whatever, seeing the like Donny Osmond live action recorded one. And Asher
I love that we say live action like there was an animated Joseph.
Yeah. No, Asher is the fat brother. And I was just like, I mean, I know this feels a little pointed.
Get the fat kid into it.
I got to play a hairy Ishmaelite in the local summer stock production, which I will say it is burned into my memory because I got to share a dressing room with the hottest gay chorus boys I'd ever seen in my life at age 16.
Wow.
And it was a godsend. So let's just leave it at that. It was a very happy memory.
We have a couple hot gay chorus boys in our audience right now.
I bet we do. All right. Next one up. Which 2 of our co-hosts spent their first big outing together at an ostrich farm? They actually do know about this connection, but you don't. All right. Was it Michael and Trevor, or was it Dan and Don? All right. Who thinks it was Dan and Don? Oh, damn! All right. Okay, who thinks it was Michael and Trevor? Yeah, okay, there we go. Have you talked about it on the show? Did I?
He made a social media post a long time ago that maybe people didn't see.
Bad.
So,
all right, we'll skip the ostriches. We're moving on. All right, last one. This one's a big
surprise. I just say, Trevor, so the video of Trevor trying to feed the ostriches, I took that video, and he's like walking up to it, and he's like being very brave, and they're being very aggressive. And there was a point where I was like, do you want help with that? And he's like, no, I got it.
Seeing a bird that could just kill you, and it is making the decision like, no, you have seed, I'm not going to kill you yet. And actually Michael was like, I thought it was emus, and there were emus there, and they were smaller and scarier, and you could not feed them.
They're freaking dinosaurs. Come on.
You get it when you see them up close.
All right, final question for the day. 2 of our co-hosts have broken their arms roller skating. Not together, completely separately in 2 different locations. Who thinks it was Trevor and Michael? They don't think you roller skate.
That's like 10%.
Right. Who thinks it was Dan and Don? How you guys are so much better at this than they are. All right, so I broke my wrist roller skating in Albany, New York, in front of the Egg Theater. There's this big sort of solid concrete concourse with these gigantic concrete statues, and they're renting out roller skates. And I learned that day that when you are on wheels and it's a very windy day and you are wearing a windbreaker, you are a fucking sailboat. So I'm skating with the wind and I'm having a great time, and then I realized I'm going a lot faster than I thought it was. And maybe I should slow this down. Oh, there is no stopping. Okay, there's a statue straight ahead. It looks soft. Oh no, that's concrete. Bam. You can be a sailboat if you aspire. It's possible. You can dream.
I have a remarkably similar accident.
Really?
We've never told these to each other. So I lived at the bottom of a very steep hill. San Diego is full of very steep hills.
Good start.
And mesas that drop off. So I was and I was going fast. And I was going faster, and I was going faster, and I was going faster. And as you know, the best way to stop when you're roller skating is to fall. So that's what
it's very effective.
I executed what I thought was a strategic fall onto my right side on some nice dichondra. For those of you old enough to know what dichondra is.
That?
Exactly. So it's a kind of grass that does well in hot climates. So I'm on there, and boom, and that's how I stopped. And that's also how I learned the vocabulary word radius bone. At the tender age of 6.
Well, guys, we're going to start wrapping up our episode now. We are going to hang out afterwards if anyone wants to chat. But in the meantime, Trevor, if there are people out there who want to tell their stories of tragic roller skating events, where could they tell us about that?
Well, we're on Instagram and Blue Sky as @BigFatGayPod. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Leave us 5 stars there. Leave us 5 stars or a review on your preferred podcast platform. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/BigFatGayPod. See the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com, baby.
Hey, you did it.
I love how you do that. It's like your call is very important.
Maybe you were inspired by this episode to go on a helicopter ride and you're soaring.
No, thank you.
But Don's wearing a windbreaker and he's airborne, so
watch out.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for being patient with the tech troubles.
Hey.
All right.